Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Success by Design. I am so glad that you are here. This is the podcast where we talk about what it really takes to build a design business that supports your life, not one that quietly demands more of you year after year. And if you're feeling that way, I can't wait to share today's episode with you. It is for the designer who did exactly what everyone told you to do, and you were wondering why it didn't change as much as you thought it would. Because if you just raise your rates and you thought that was the answer, you would be working less by now, and you're not. So let's talk about it. Time for two truths and a lie as we kick off the episode. Number one, raising your rates is often a necessary step in building a sustainable design business. Number two, higher paying clients tend to come with higher expectations and more pressure. Number three, raising your rates automatically gives you more freedom and fewer hours. Hold on to that. We're going to come back to it. I want to start today with the real moment that no one talks about. And it's a very real scenario I hear from you all the time. You raised your rates, you had the conversations, you updated the website, and you thought, okay, this is the turning point in my business. And then it wasn't, because you're still working just as much. Your inbox feels heavier than it ever has. Your clients are feeling more demanding. And let me tell you, I can relate to that. You have more revenue, but your margin is still somehow leaking. And instead of feeling free, you're actually feeling more pressure. If that's you, let me say this first. You didn't do anything wrong. Raising your rates didn't fail. It just wasn't the magic fix that people promised. I see this across the coaching universe right now. Every coach, and you can't swing a cat without hitting one of them, is promising some sort of version of profit optimization. They have the kitschy names for it. They have the great titles for it. And they promise that it is going to be the holy grail of fixing your design business. And it drives me nuts. The reason why is if you're playing at the level that I am talking to you at, if you're in 5 figures, moving to six, and you want to get into 7, the reality is it's not just a profit problem, and it's not as simple as raising either your flat fee or your hourly rate. And I'm so tired of our business being simplified into thinking it is just that. Businesses are complicated. They're entire biosystems. Think about your body. Just because you start giving it more raspberries to increase your fiber doesn't mean it's going to fix all of the problems. But that's often how I feel we are looking at profit when it comes to the interior design business. In fact, let's talk about it. Why does pricing advice feel so unsatisfying? I look at it like a candy. It tastes really good in the moment, and it seems like it's just going to hit. And then it leaves you weirdly unsatisfied. It feels clean, right? And that's really seductive. It feels like a switch you can flip without changing anything else. And don't get me wrong, many designers are undercharging. Most of my coaching clients I talk to, we end up doing a market analysis and figuring out where they need to be. So raising your rates is often necessary. But here's the piece of the conversation that I think is missing. Pricing is a multiplier. It is not a solution. You're not going to hear that from a lot of coaches out there. Pricing is a multiplier. It is not a solution. Whatever exists in your business before the price increases is just going to get amplified after it. So loose scope is probably going to become looser. Fuzzy boundaries are going to become heavier. Why? Because the client has the expectation that if they're paying more, they expect to be able to have more latitude with you. Also, over-involvement often becomes dependency, and your weak systems, they're going to really start to crack under the weight of that new price point. So instead of the freedom that was promised you of raise your rates, make more money, you're getting intensity. An intensity you didn't necessarily sign up for, intensity you don't necessarily want, an intensity that is killing you, the very heart of your business. So why do higher prices actually feel harder? And this is the part that a lot of other coaches don't prepare you for. Higher paying clients expect the following. If you can relate to this, let me know. They want faster responses. They want more access to you. They want fewer mistakes. And yes, they want less friction. And that's all very fair. If we're paying a premium, I get it. I want that too. Here's the kicker. If your business structure isn't designed to support that level of expectation, you, not y'all in your team, you as the CEO end up absorbing it. You end up becoming the bottleneck. You become the decision maker. You become the emotional buffer. And yeah, the invoices are higher. I'm not going to lie. But so are the stakes that go with them. And I think that's why designers start quietly thinking, maybe raising my rates was a mistake. I can't tell you how many designers I talked to who raised their rates, thought that it was going to be the holy grail, and then regret it because now they feel the weight of all of it even more. I'm going to tell you right now, raising your rates wasn't a mistake. But as you know in business, back to the body being a biosystem, there are multiple factors and systems at play. And pricing alone was never just the single system that was going to fix all of the others. Let's go deeper, because that's what this entire podcast is about. It's not about the glitter. It's not about what's the quick fix for your business. It's about getting deep and figuring out what's really going on at the foundational level. Here's the shift I want you to make. And think about this. If raising your rates didn't give you freedom, it's not because your pricing doesn't work. It's because freedom is created by structure. I'm going to say that again. Freedom is created by structure. What are we talking about? Clarity, process, decision ownership, that difference of being a business owner versus being a CEO. Boundaries that are designed, not enforced through exhaustion. This is why two designers can charge the exact same amount in the exact same market, and one feels calm and profitable while the other feels constantly behind. This is why I see you if you are feeling constantly behind. I can't tell you how many of you get on a call with me and there are tears and there's fatigue and there's exhaustion. And I just want to give you a safe place to feel seen and heard. This is what is going on in your business. You don't have the foundation. Imagine building the most beautiful home and putting it on straight dirt. No foundation is there to support it. Your design business is no different. These two designers we're talking about that have the same pricing, they have a very different foundation. And that foundation is what leads that one to feel really calm and profitable while the other feels constantly behind. I remember being the constantly. Remember when behind me I had dry erase boards instead of project management systems and client management systems and all these other systems that buttressed everything that we do as a company. If you're feeling that way, you are not alone. Let me pause here and ask you something, and I really want you to answer this. Whether you're sitting in your office or you're driving down the road, think for just a moment. When you raised your rates, what did you expect to change that actually didn't? This is the question most coaches won't ask you. Instead, they'll say, didn't it feel good to raise your rates? Yes, they're asking more of you, but don't you feel validated now that your rates are higher? That's not what we're talking about. We're going to have some bold, honest questions here. What did you expect to change that didn't the last time you raised your rates? Was it your hours? Was it your stress? Was it your role in the business? Send me a DM on Insta or message me on LinkedIn and tell me, because I read every one of those personally, and I promise you're not the only one experiencing this. In fact, let's talk about that quiet margin leak. Let's talk about the quiet margin leak. It's called scope creep, and everyone hates it. And the reason why is because they haven't accounted for it. One of the biggest places I see designers lose freedom after raising their rates is in this singular area. And not the dramatic kind, it's the quiet kind. It's the death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's the can you just, and since we're already here and this won't take long, and here's the really tricky part, Most of you don't protect against scope creep because you don't want to feel rigid or transactional, especially in residential work. And honestly, it even happens in commercial. But here's what I've learned the hard way. Clarity is kinder than flexibility without boundaries. Let me say that again for you. Clarity is kinder than flexibility without boundaries. And here's what I did differently in my business. This is where structure changed everything for me. As my pricing increased, I realized my contracts were no longer supporting how I actually work, or more importantly, how my clients actually behaved. So I became very intentional when it came to working with an intellectual property attorney to create contracts for both residential and commercial clients, 2 separate contracts that specifically allow for scope creep. They're going to do it. So why not just account for it out of the gate? Do it in a way that protects margin, your time, and the client's expectations. This is about contracts where the scope changes are acknowledged, additional work can be defined even by email and still be legally binding. Compensation is built into the structure and no one feels surprised because, like I always say, none of us like surprises after our 12th birthday. And then most importantly, no one feels resentful. That single shift didn't just protect the revenue, it protected your energy, one of your most valuable resources next to your time. And this is what people miss. Higher pricing only feels supportive when your structure evolves with it. If you want to see what that kind of contract structure looks like, I've linked those 2 contracts in the show notes to both the residential version and the commercial version that you can download and adjust for any job you need. All right, let's talk about it. You're going to think you misheard me, but you didn't. Freedom is a design problem, and let's talk about why. You understand this intuitively in physical spaces. For instance, you wouldn't expect a poorly planned floor plan to work just because the furniture is expensive, right? So why do we expect pricing to fix undefined scope, unlimited access, decision overload, emotional overextension? Yeah, it's not going to. I hate to be the bearer of bad news and to all of those other glittery promises out there that say profit fixes everything. They're wrong. It's an oversimplification of a very complex problem. Freedom is designed, it is on purpose, and it is with intention. And if you're ready to go there, let me know. All right, back to our 2 truths and a lie. If you don't remember, let's break it down. 1, raising your rates is often a necessary step in building a sustainable design business. Number 2, higher paying clients tend to come with higher expectations and more pressure. Number 3, raising your rates automatically gives you more freedom and more hours. And hopefully this is resoundingly clear to you at this point. The lie was raising your rates automatically gives you more freedom and fewer hours. It does not. So if you're sitting here and you're saying what does, I'm going to make it very simple for your takeaways today. Structure does, systems do, and clear ownership does. Now, don't get me wrong, pricing supports freedom, but it cannot create it on its own. And anyone who is telling you that is telling you a lie and setting you up for failure. Now, if you're sitting here and you're thinking, I did what I was supposed to do, so why does it feel so hard? I want to give you a huge hug. You're not failing. You're not behind. You're simply ready for the next layer in your business, which is my favorite to coach. This is the moment designers stop chasing tactics offered by other coaches. They stop chasing ideas, other podcasts, whatever's the most glittery thing to pop up either on your pod or on your newsfeed. This is about starting to take action and build the foundations that actually support the life you want. And if you feel like this episode is speaking directly to you, I'd love to help you sort through it. This is why I offer a free 15-minute problem-solving session where we look at it all. where margin is quietly leaking, what structural changes would support your pricing, and what would actually give you breathing room. When you hop on a problem-solving call with me, there is no pitch, there is no pressure. You're just going to get more street talk like what you get here. And if this is resonating with you, let's chat. Head on over to fixmydesignbiz with a Z, fixmydesignbiz.coach. And you're going to find the links in the show notes as well to the exact contracts I use in my own business over at my website, successbydesign.coach. But if you really feel like this podcast has spoken to you and you feel seen in this moment and you're thinking, yeah, it's not sexy, but I've got to get back to building my foundation, or I cannot grow anymore or the way that I want, let's chat. Because remember, your business should be working for you, not you working for it. Until next time, take care.